Good evening, everyone. Good evening. And welcome to Temple Beth Ohr. My name is Mark Goldfarb. I'm grateful for you all to be here with us this evening. We have a number of congregations represented. Obviously, we have Temple Beth Ohr folks. We've got the the United Methodist Church of La Mirada. They're our neighbors, but I always call them the La Mirada Methodist Church, but it's the United Methodist Church of La Mirada. I get those confused. So, grateful to have them. We also have people from Beatitudes. We have Deacon Gene Gleason here, and folks from Beatitudes. We have members of our city's representatives here, Mayor Pro Tem Larry Moles, as well as Council Member John Lewis. Great to have you. And I'm sorry, I'm blanking your lovely wife's name. Paula. I am so sorry, Paula. Too many things at the last minute there. We have Mrs. Paula. Well, I guess that would be, we have Larry's better half with us. We have Pastor Jack Miranda from Living Faith here with us. We have Imam Yahya and members of the La Mirada Masjid with us, and indeed their student choir who will be singing for us later on. So for you spiritual thrill seekers, this will be a multi-language evening. Not only will we be praying in English, but we're going to toss in a little bit of Hebrew and a little bit of Arabic as we go through our day today. So this will be a wonderful opportunity. We gather on this Sunday, the Sunday before Thanksgiving, to thank God for not making us a turkey and to celebrate what truly unites us. As people of faith, we are bound together in ways that transcend our individual houses of worship, that transcend the geographical distances of our families, that transcend even the languages that we speak and the ways in which we approach and experience God. As people of faith, we recognize there is a oneness in the world around us. There is a oneness that exists, and when we open our hearts and our minds to that oneness, we are able to share together without risk of feeling competed against or trying to convince. No, that's not what this night is about. This is not trying to convince us of anything. This is simply a night for us to express gratitude. Thanks to the Creator for this beautiful planet, for our lives, and for the many ways in which we are all able to worship that very Creator. Indeed, in this country, it is a wonderful thing because what's taking place here in La Mirada, California, in this congregation tonight, is a unique experience. Jews, Christians, and Muslims coming together not to throw stones, not to berate each other, not to point fingers at each other, but instead to hold hands and to raise our hands in praise. This is truly a beautiful, beautiful evening. Are there other congregations that are here that I may have missed? Covered the bases? Excellent. Grateful to have all of you with us this evening. There will be a reception following our service in our social hall where we might invite you to imbibe with some tea, coffee, sweets, cookies, pastries, and whatnot. That will be at the conclusion of our service. Let us take this opportunity to take a look at our cell phones and other devices of communications. Now's a great time to switch them to the off or the silent position, so we might share this evening without interruption. The world has been a place of many blessings. The world has been a place of many troubles as well. Tonight we will set those troubles aside. They will still be there for us, as they have always been there for us, as there has always been troubles and challenges. But tonight we will leave them at the door. Tonight we come here to be thankful. Tonight we come here to express our gratitude. Tonight we come here to worship. I forgot to announce and to include in my introductions Pastor Stephanie Rice of the United Methodist Church of La Mirada, because she's sitting right behind me. Sorry, Stephanie. You get my better side. The words to our worship this evening will be projected on the screen, which is over to my left. Hopefully you are all in a position to be able to see the screen. The words will be there. If not, please feel free to move into a position where you will be able to see. With that, I invite Pastor Jack Miranda to get us started with a call to worship.
Thank you, Rabbi. Good evening. Good evening. A call to worship. These are the words. If we, this is what I like to tell our congregation. Sometimes we are very hurried about even our singing. Would you listen to the words? You're going to interact with me. This is called liturgy, and for a Pentecostal preacher, that's pretty new. I do all the yelling and the shouting and we're going to interact. But even the very first, your very first line, there's a 2-letter word that I would want you to focus on. Us. Let us rejoice and be glad. This is a time. These are troublesome times in our culture. And I'm sure our rabbi is going to discuss that and you'll hear. But listen to the words that you and I are going to share. I'm going to call us to worship. And my line, and then I'll point to you and we'll say it together. But this is the day that God has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Oh, come, let us worship and bow down. Let us kneel before God, our Maker. Blessed be the name of God from this time on and forevermore. From the rising of the sun to its setting, the name of God is to be praised. It is good to give thanks to God, to sing praises to your name, O Most High, to declare your steadfast love in the morning and your faithfulness by night. I have a secondary assignment, now that I've called us to worship, to share something from the Native American tradition. We used to call them Indians when I was a kid. And it's an interesting people group. And so let's remember that they were some of the first settlers on this land that we call home. And they're very spiritual in their lifestyle. From the Native American tradition, listen. Greetings and thanks to each other as people. To the earth, mother of all greetings and thanks. And from the 4 directions, the 4 winds, thank you for purifying the air we breathe and giving us strength. And now the sun for the light of a new day. And the stars for their mystery, beauty, and guidance. To our teachers from all times, reminding us of how to live in harmony, and for all the gifts of creation, for all the love around us, and for that which is forgotten, we remember. We end our words, now our minds are one.
It is. It'd be interesting to sing those words.
You guys know we gathered together?
Yeah, we could do that one. There we go.
There we go.
Good job.
My bad.
That's okay.
Creation, thanks be to God.
Technology can be a great thing when it works. We continue as I invite Deacon Gene Gleason to continue with a responsive reading.
We join together in a prayer for the precious gift of life. Our response is, we rejoice in all life. We live in all things. All things live in us. We rejoice in all life. We live by the sun. We move with the stars. We rejoice in all life. We eat from the earth. We drink from the rain. We breathe from the air. We rejoice in all life. We share with the creatures. We have strength through their gifts. We rejoice in all life. We depend on the forests. We have knowledge through their secrets. We rejoice in all life. We have the privilege of seeing and understanding. We have the responsibility of caring. We have the joy of celebrating. We rejoice in all life. We are full of the grace of creation. We are grateful. We are grateful. We rejoice in all life.
We read in the Torah, the 5 books of Moses. V'achalta v'savata uverachta et Adonai Elohecha ha'aretz hatova asher natan lach. When you have eaten your fill, give thanks to the Eternal One your God for the good land which God gave you. Be careful not to forget the Eternal One your God by not obeying God's commandments, rulings, and regulations that I am giving you today. Otherwise, after you have eaten and you are satisfied, built fine houses and lived in them, and increased your herds, your flocks, your silver, your gold, and everything else you own, you will become proud-hearted, forgetting the Eternal One your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, where you lived as slaves. You will think to yourself, my own power and the strength of my own hand have gotten me this wealth. No, you are to remember the Eternal One, your God, because it is God who is giving you the power to get wealth in order to confirm God's covenant, which the Eternal One swore to your ancestors, as is happening even to this day.
We turn now to our musical offering. Though we come from different faiths, from different sons of Abraham expressing our love for God in different words and different traditions, we all pray for, hope for, and work towards the same highest ideal: peace. Peace for us, for the whole world. We sing together Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, asking for peace for every nation of the world, combining the words of each of our faiths into one strong hope. Salam, Shalom, peace.
And now a reading from Philippians chapter 4, verses 4 through 9. Be glad in the Lord always. Again I say, be glad. Let your gentleness show in your treatment of all people. The Lord is near. Don't be anxious about anything. Rather, bring up all of your requests to God in your prayers and petitions, along with giving thanks. Then the peace of God that exceeds all understanding will keep your hearts and minds safe. From now on, brothers and sisters, if anything is excellent and if anything is admirable, focus your thoughts on these things: all that is true, all that is holy, all that is just, all that is pure, all that is lovely, and all that is worthy of praise. Practice these things. Whatever you learned, received, heard, or saw in us, the God of peace will be with you.
Good evening. Peace, shalom, and salam. From the Quran, in the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Do you not see that God has made subjected to you whatever is in the heavens and whatever is in the earth, and amply bestowed upon you his favors, both apparent and unapparent? And remember when your Lord proclaimed, if you are grateful, I will surely increase you in favor. But if you deny, indeed, my punishment is severe. And he gave you from all you asked of him. And if you should count the favor of God, you cannot enumerate them. And in Arabic, الحمد لله فاطر السماوات والأرض جاعل الملائكة رسلا أولي أجنحة مثنى وثلاث ورباع يزيد في الخلق ما يشاء إن الله على كل شيء قدير ما يفتح الله للناس من رحمة فلا ممسك لها وما يمسك فلا مرسل له من بعده وهو العزيز الحكيم يا أيها الناس اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم هل من خالق غير الله يرزقكم من السماء والأرض لا إله إلا هو فأنا تؤفكون. And a translation. All praise is due to God, creator of the heavens and the earth, who made the angels messengers having wings 2 or 3 or 4. He increases in creation what he wills. Indeed, Allah is over all things competent. Whatever God grants to people of mercy, none can withhold it. And whatever he withholds, none can release it thereafter. And he is the exalted in might, the wise. O mankind, remember the favor of God upon you. Is there any creator other than God who provides for you from the heaven and earth? There is no deity except him, so how are you deluded? And also we'll have some of the students here will perform they call it nasheed, or a small song in Arabic and in English as well. We'll have them.
لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله محمد رسول الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم Al-Khaliq made the oceans, rivers, lakes, streams, and rain. Bow their waves in pure submission upon the earth to praise his name. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. There is no creature among us, upon the air or in the sea, that does not sing with wonder, praising in community. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The dry earth is a sign to all of mankind, brought to life with peaceful rain, and to us Allah will do the same. La ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah. Muhammadur Rasulullah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
I told you we're a bunch of spiritual thrill seekers. Hine matov uman ayim shevet achim gam yachad, we read in Psalms. How beautiful it is when we come together as brothers and sisters. And that is truly what we gather here tonight. We gather in celebration of a holiday, a great American holiday. I remember as both a child and as teenager being asked by many of my friends, do Jews celebrate Thanksgiving? American Jews do, I responded. The French Jews don't. Neither do the Israeli Jews, but the American Jews, yes, we do. I don't know if our Muslim brothers get that question and sisters get that question as well, but it is one of those crazy things. Yes, we celebrate. This is our American holiday. This is a unique opportunity for us as Americans to celebrate. And indeed, as when my children were younger, it was my favorite of holidays because in Judaism, there's no worship services on Thanksgiving. I don't have to lead any worship service. Every other holiday in my calendar, I have to lead services, not on Thanksgiving. So it was a day to spend in your PJs and eat all day long and watch movies. Anyway, it is an official holiday, an official American holiday that requires a proclamation by the president. To read us that proclamation, I invite our Mayor Pro Tem, Larry Moles, to share with us the presidential proclamation. Mayor Pro Tem Moles, I do apologize because we have here listed the Honorable Mayor Ed Eng, who is not here, but you are, and by far the more important person, but I didn't have time to change the slide.
Let me clear up a misunderstanding. My appearance here is secondary, and Ing's appearance here would be secondary. The most important appearance here tonight is my wife, Paula. Now I'm to read a presidential proclamation. This year's proclamation is really last year's proclamation because this year's proclamation will be next year's proclamation. Let me explain that one more time. I'm reading last year's proclamation because this year's proclamation will be next year's proclamation. And the reason that's so is because this year's proclamation has not been proclaimed yet. Everybody got that? Yeah. Sort of? Okay, here we go. By the President of the United States of America, a proclamation. Nearly 400 years ago, a small band of pilgrims fled persecution and violence and came to this land as refugees in search of opportunity and the freedom to practice their faith. Through the journey, though the journey was rough and their first winter harsh, the friendly embrace of the indigenous people, the Wampanoag, who offered gracious lessons. I'm sorry, you know what? I give up. Here we go. Who offered gracious lessons, yeah, I can read this now, in agriculture and crop production led to their successful first harvest. The Pilgrims were grateful they could rely on the generosity of the Wampanoag people, without whom they would not have survived their first year in the new land. And together they celebrated this bounty with a festival that lasted for days and prompted the tradition of an annual day of giving thanks. This history teaches us that American instinct has never been to seek isolation in opposite corners. It is to find strength in our common creed and forge unity from our great diversity. On that very first Thanksgiving celebration, these same ideals brought together people of different backgrounds and beliefs, and every year since, with enduring confidence in the power of faith, love, gratitude, and optimism, this force of unity has sustained us as a people. It has guided us through times of great challenge and change and allowed us to see ourselves in those who come to our shores in search of a safer, better future for themselves and their families. On this holiday, we count our blessings and renew our commitment to giving back. We give thanks for our troops and our veterans and their families who give of themselves to protect the values we cherish. For the first responders, teachers, and engaged Americans who serve their communities. And for the chance to live in a country founded on the belief that all of us are created equal. But on this day of gratitude, we are also reminded that securing these freedoms and opportunities for all our people is an unfinished task. We must reflect on all we have been afforded while continuing the work of ensuring that no one is left out or left behind because of who they are or where they come from. For generations, our nation's progress has been carried forward by those who act on the obligations we have to one another. Each year on Thanksgiving, the selflessness and decency of the American people surface in food banks and shelters across our country, in time spent caring for the sick and the stranger, and in efforts to empathize with those with whom we disagree, and to recognize that every individual is worthy of compassion and care. As we gather in the company of our friends, families, and communities, just as the Pilgrims in the Wampanoag did centuries ago, let us strive to lift up others, promote tolerance and inclusiveness, and give thanks for the joy and love that surrounds all of us. Now, therefore, I, Barack Obama, President of the United States of America, by the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim November 24, 2016 as a National Day of Thanksgiving. I encourage the people of the United States to join together, whether in our homes, places of worship, community centers, or any place of fellowship for friends and neighbors, and give thanks for all we have received in the past year, express appreciation to those whose lives enrich our own, and share our bounty with others. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand this 23rd day of November in the year of our Lord, 2016, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 241st. Signed, Barack Obama. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll either have to move our service to the Sunday after Thanksgiving if we want to hear the current president's proclamation, or we'll have to find a way to sort of celebrate a time warp experience so that we might be able to hear the current presidents. But Mayor Pro Tem Moles, thank you very much for sharing with us the proclamation, and thank you. How many of us have been to a Jewish wedding? Not too, quite a few. Oh, very good. That's encouraging. That's encouraging. Those of you who have not been, and those of you who have been to a Jewish wedding, you know that there's a very strange ritual that we Jews do at the end of the wedding ceremony. Indeed, many other items of the Jewish wedding does not necessarily have to be there, at least as far as the couple or the family are concerned. You don't need to have the Hebrew rabbi, thank you very much. We don't need to have the 7 blessings, thank you very much, Rabbi. But we have to have the smashing of the glass. The very end of the ceremony. This has become synonymous with a Jewish wedding. Its origins are lost to us in antiquities, but there are many reasons given as to why we smash a glass at this particular point in time. It is the very last act that the couple share in before they kiss and go off to the reception. And again, it is uniquely a Jewish kind of thing. The smashing of the glass. Why do we smash this glass at this time? I mean, here it is, a very happy event, a very happy occasion. Usually the breaking of glass is a bad thing. If you're at a restaurant and somebody should drop a stack of plates, you know, there is a moment of gasp, and then people will start shouting, "Oppa!" or "Mazel Tov," because we're used to smashing a glass. So whenever we are glass breaking, Mazel Tov. And so it's not usually a happy thing when a glass gets broken. And indeed, that's part of the reason why we break the glass. Even at this moment when we think it is just about this couple, these 2 people who are getting married, we smash a glass to temper that joy. We Jews are a little schizophrenic in this fashion. You can't have too much joy and too much exuberance and too much celebration. No, because something bad will happen. That's not why we break the glass. We break the glass so that we remind ourselves that even amidst our joy and our celebration, we are connected to a world that is broken, a world that is fractured, a world that is not whole, a world that is filled with hate. And so even in this moment of this great celebration, we break something as a way of reminding us of our obligation to the greater world, that there is more work to be done, that there are things that we need to do as human beings, and there are responses that we have to make. This is appropriate reminder for us as we approach Thanksgiving. Because it's very easy when we are sitting in the comfort of our homes and we think about the people who are still homeless in Houston, people that are living in refugee camps from Syria and from other African countries. It is very easy for us when we remember their plight to be grateful for the food that we have on the table, for the roof over our head, for indoor plumbing, for running electricity. We could think about the people in Puerto Rico who don't have electricity unless they have generators. And so it's very easy when we are sitting in comfort for us to think about those who are less fortunate and then to show gratitude. But in my mind, that's not what gratitude is all about. It's not about when we think about other people, because it should be there all the time. But because there are so many blessings with which we have been blessed, we often begin to take them for granted. Like the breaking of a glass at a Jewish wedding, we take the joy and the jubilation and the celebration, we take that for granted, that this is what it should be like. But we know for many in our community, it's not like that. We know here in Southern California, as we drive by our freeways and as we drive on our streets, we are confronted with some of the more difficult challenges our broken world is calling out to us to help repair. The plight of the homeless, the plight of the hungry. Indeed, we are collecting food. Churches collect food. Mosques collect food. We are all, as houses of worship, trying to respond to that need. And that is one way of going about it. But we don't always think about that all the time. We think about that when we get together for our gathering of gratitude, or when the church, mosque, temple announces a food drive. Then we think about those who are hungry. So as we approach this holiday of Thanksgiving and of being grateful, and there are many things that I am grateful for, it seems to me that there needs to be something more future-looking, something to inspire us to do the work to bring about gratitude for others. Harold Ramis, the director and filmmaker of such wonderful movies as, Meatballs and Caddyshack and some of the others, spoke in 2006 at a Thanksgiving speech and delivered a wonderful twist. I'd like to borrow the idea, not his words, but his idea, because after being grateful for family and professions and things, Harold took it in a whole new direction. And instead of looking at what he was grateful for in that moment, he decided to shift it to the future. I would like to be grateful, he said. And he listed off a number of things. I would like to take that idea and move that here. Again, not his list, but the idea. I would like to be grateful to live in a country that provides excellent mental health care. We have a serious mental health challenge in this country. We don't recognize it. We recognize the end result of it because we have people doing horrible, horrible things with guns and with drugs. And by trying to treat the guns or the drugs, we're only treating the symptom. There is an underlying disease. I would like to be grateful that I lived in a world where parents would want the best for their children and would be open to such diagnosis of mental challenges. There's a lot of anger in our youth, a lot of anger in our teens that ends up in angry adults. I would so welcome and would be so grateful that I would live in a time when parents would be open to a psychological evaluation of themselves and their children. I would like to be grateful. I would like to be grateful to live in a world where a woman can walk into her place of work, into her office, down the hallways of her factory or wherever she is employed, without fear of being groped or Googled or stared up and down, or to have to hear inappropriate words. I would like to live in a world where men would recognize that we have contributed to this, and we need to put a stop to it. I would like to live in a world where a woman would get paid. I would be grateful to live in a world where a woman got paid the same amount for the job she does as the man sitting right next to her. I would be grateful to live in a world where I, as a Jew, would not have to hire security to protect us for our worship services. I would be grateful to live in a world where hate is not tolerated, where people saying despicable, hurtful things against Jews, Muslims, Christians, atheists, Sikhs, you name the minority, immigrants, Hispanics, Asians. I would be so grateful to live in a world where hate is not tolerated. There's no room for it. This is the 21st century. Haven't we learned anything? I would be so grateful to live in a world where people could talk to each other about their political differences. I would be so grateful to be able to have a conversation with another human being about their choice in the election and why, without it coming as an attack. It's not an attack. I'm curious. I want to know. I want to better understand the people that I live with. I would be so grateful to live in a world where we did not put party before the people, and where our elected officials would not put the party before the people that elected them. I would be so grateful to live in a world where the air is fresh and clean, where beaches are not closed due to pollutants and raw sewage. I would be grateful to live in a world where the oceans are alive and vibrant and teeming with fish and not with garbage bags. I would be so grateful to live in a world of my dreams, yes. And so I smash a glass to remind me that there are things that we still have to do. There is work to be done, because this task is not an impossible one. This is not a difficult task. Perhaps maybe it may be even too easy. But we have to find ways to rekindle that passion within our lives, to likewise want to be grateful about living in a world that is better. That was the mission of our ancestors who came to this country for a better life. The Pilgrims, my ancestors from Poland, your ancestors came here for the opportunities this land provides, this nation provides. We are grateful for their sacrifices. We are grateful to be able to be here. And with that gratitude, let us move it into the future. This Thanksgiving, while you're sitting around the table, ask the people at the table not so much what they are grateful for. Yes, let's dispense with that. But then ask, what would you be grateful for tomorrow? May we have a holiday celebration that is filled with love, with peace, filled with dreams and hopes that we might work to make real. And let us all say, Amen. This is new for us in our congregation. We don't pass the plate at a Jewish worship service. The exchanging of money, the collecting of money is defined by our rabbis as work, and something we are not allowed to do on Shabbat, on our holidays. And so we're a little rusty at this, we Jews. Thankful very much to the United Methodist Church of La Mirada for providing us our collection trays. Thank you to David Sane, to Harry Jacobs, to Mike Kravitz. We are going to take a collection. Monies raised tonight will go to the Interfaith Food Council, which is now located in Santa Fe Springs, which provides food to food banks to the hungry across the area. And while they are doing that, our choir will lead us in a song, You Raise Me Up. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here. As a tribute to those offerings, thank you, Creator of the universe, for the people gathered around us today. We give thanks for the things of the earth that give us the means of life. Thank you for the plants and the animals that we use as food and as medicine. Thank you for the natural world in which we find the means to be clothed and housed. Thank you, Lord, for the ability to use these gifts of creation. Told you I was having a problem with the Wi-Fi.
There you go.
Right. Goodness gracious. All right. Thank you, Lord, for the ability to use the gifts of creation. Help us to see our place among these gifts, not to squander them or think them as means for selfish gain. May we respect the life you have made. May our spirits be strengthened by using only what we need, and may we use our strength to help those in need. And let us say, Amen. We've done that. A reminder again as we come to the conclusion of our worship service that following the conclusion, we will join together for refreshments in our social hall. I want to thank members of our religious committee headed by Dina Jastrock for arranging our refreshments. I thank our cantor, Ariel Goldfarb, for putting together our music. I am grateful to our clergy, to Pastor Stephanie Rice, to Imam Yahya, to Deacon Gleason, to Pastor Miranda. Did I miss anyone? Great. And our accompanist, Dr. Ray Irwin, for providing us with our music this evening. I am grateful for you for giving up some of your time to be with us. Grateful to our members of our city, Mayor Pro Tem Larry Moles, and Council Member John Lewis, and of course the ineffable and famous Paula Moles as well. We'll announce that during the refreshments, Kurt. Thank you. And with that, I share a closing prayer, blessing for us before we conclude with the singing of America the Beautiful, whose words will be on the screen. Our God and God of our fathers and our mothers, creator of the universe, inspiration and guide for us all. You have spoken in 1,000 tongues for us to hear. In every land and every age, we, your children, have heard you and experienced you in our separate ways. And yet, O God, you are one, the unifier of humanity. We are grateful to you for the manifold blessings you have bestowed upon us, this bountiful world that sustains us physically, and your presence, which nourishes our soul. We are grateful to you for the leaders, thinkers, and prophets who have arisen in all lands, from all cultures and all religions, and who have given us a greater understanding of you and how your glory is made manifest by the rich diversity of faiths, beliefs, languages, and cultures that exist. As we prepare to celebrate the holiday of Thanksgiving, help us to live our lives with ever grateful and humble hearts. Help us to appreciate and to respect one another, and teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. We thank you for giving us life, for sustaining us, and for enabling us to reach this holiday season. And again, I ask us to say, Amen. I invite us to rise as we are able. Hold the hand of someone next to you or put your arm around their shoulder as we conclude with the singing of a song in tribute to our country, America the Beautiful.
America,
May we be blessed with a Thanksgiving filled with gratitude, with joy, with health, and with happiness. May we be blessed in all of our lives as we wander from this place, and may we join again next year. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much again for sharing your voices as always. Thank you. It is such a pleasure to sing with you. I hope we will see you again next year.
Oh, keep us away, just try. I'm sorry, I got a hurt. Oh, thank you so much. We're flying,
Thank you. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you. Sorry we boxed you in there. You can't leave yet until the ladies get out of the way.
We would like
Yeah, well, you didn't wear the white shirt, so they got to see.
to use them again.
They have to stay.
You can just leave them on the chair. We'll collect them. Okay. Thank you.
Where did we see? Oh, yeah.
Karen, thank you as well.